116 million working age Nigerians, 35.5 million are employed full-time. That's 30%.
I give you the context.
I give you the history.
I fight fake news with facts.
Kayode. No, Kayode, I will let you talk. Kayode, I will let you talk if you let me talk. Kayode.
That's why more and more Lagosians are tuning in.
500,000 Lagosians.
720,000.
970,000.
Over 1 million Lagosians, they know that if you give me your afternoon, I will give you hard facts.
Well done, Sandra, all to going beyond the headlines and focusing on the facts.
I am Sandra Ezekwesili, and these are your hard facts.
First hard fact of the day. 53 new COVID confirmations yesterday in 3 states. Lagos had 36, Rivers had 14, Akwa Ibom had 3. So I beg, this thing is not over. You have to take precautions. You have to limit your movement outside. You have to wear a mask. You have to give gap to people. And as much as possible, wash and sanitize your hands. And hey, join the rest of Lagos to listen to this show. 1 million Lagosians cannot be wrong. So do what they do and listen to hard facts. Starting with the big 3, Global Edition. Let's talk about the clashes between Israeli forces and Hamas. Then let's talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in general. And then let's talk about U.S. companies having difficulties finding workers. After that, as usual for Friday, we'll bring you Public Square with Agogo Obo. And then we're going to wrap up with music and moments. Ifeanyi and Sam bring that fantastic program your way. Of course, there's news updates coming your way at the top of every hour. But let's get started with the Big 3 Global Edition. I am Sandra Ezekwesili, and these are your hard facts.
The Big 3 Global Edition on Hard Facts.
How could Hamas and the Israeli government have prevented the current fighting? How could Hamas and the Israeli government have prevented the current fighting? How can the Israeli-Palestinian conflict be resolved permanently? And will hiring in America's hospitality industry recover? This is Big 3 Global Edition. Let's get into the stories. Now, if you're new here, let me tell you that on Fridays, we try, keyword try, to let Nigeria rest and look at the biggest stories in the entire world. Sometimes the big stories are still Nigerian stories, or they also affect Nigeria. For my OGs who've been listening to this show since 2018, you know what to expect on a Friday. Our first story is the escalating violence between the Israeli government and Hamas. So far, over 100 Palestinian militants and civilians have been killed, including more than 20 children, mostly by airstrikes. On the Israeli side, at least 7 civilians and 1 soldier have been killed, mostly by rocket fire. This month's conflict started in East Jerusalem. East Jerusalem has been a source of problems in that region for decades. The British were in charge of Palestine from 1917 to 1947, and when they were leaving, the United Nations voted to partition the region into 3: a Jewish majority state, an Arab majority state, and Jerusalem as a neutral area. But the Arab leadership rejected the partition because it gave more land to the Jewish side, the Jewish state. This led to war between both sides and the birth of Israel. Other Arab countries joined the war, and by the end, Israel controlled West Jerusalem, while Jordan controlled East Jerusalem. When that happened, Jews living in the East Jerusalem fled to the west, while Palestinian Arabs fled east. Each group of refugees took over the neighborhoods that the other group had left behind. And then 2 decades later, Israel conquered East Jerusalem in the Six-Day War of 1967. And since then, different Israeli groups have been trying to evict those Palestinians and reclaim the neighborhoods. But the Palestinian leadership insists that if Israel wants these areas back, they have to give back the parts of West Jerusalem that Palestinians ran from, or pay compensation to the families that were displaced from there. That hasn't happened. Now, fast forward to this month, and the Israeli Supreme Court was expected to give a court judgment evicting some Palestinian families in the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. So there's been lots of tensions in East Jerusalem, right? With Palestinians protesting and Israeli police cracking down. And it all boiled over last Friday at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Al-Aqsa is the third holiest place for Muslims after Mecca and Medina. Muslims believe that it's the place where the Prophet Muhammad tied his donkey before his journey to heaven. So on Friday, the last day of Ramadan, hundreds of Palestinian Muslims were in the Al-Aqsa compound. There are conflicting reports about who struck first, but everybody agrees that in the fight, the worshippers threw stones at the police, while the police shot tear gas and rubber bullets at the worshippers. Hundreds of civilians were injured. Then on Monday, the Israeli police raided Al-Aqsa again. This time, they actually moved in to disperse the worshippers because some Israeli groups wanted to march through the neighborhood to celebrate the conquest of East Jerusalem in 1967. So the police shot tear gas, rubber bullets, sound bombs into the crowd, injuring 180 people. Now, there's been lots of condemnation of the move. Antonio Guterres called on Israel to exercise restraint, respect peaceful assemblies and the holy month of Ramadan. And then you had Hamas strike. Hamas runs the government in Gaza, one of Palestinian-controlled areas, one of the areas that Palestinians control. They demanded that Israel should withdraw its forces from Al-Aqsa and East Jerusalem and started launching hundreds of rockets at Israeli cities. Israel deployed the Iron Drone defense system to stop the rockets and also launched airstrikes against Hamas buildings in Gaza. Meanwhile, on the ground, the violence is rippling to other regions and towns. Palestinian and Israeli mobs are attacking people from other ethnic groups and destroying their property. That's the current situation in a nutshell. Now, we're going to get into the details of the history and the context in our second story, but this is the brief summary. At what points could this violence have been avoided? This is probably one of the biggest stories in the world right now. At what point could this violence been avoided? Who could have shown restraint to prevent this quarrel from escalating into a full conflict with hundreds of people dead? Should the Israeli police have used force at the Al-Aqsa Mosque and occupied it during Ramadan? Should Hamas have responded with rocket fire? Indiscriminate rocket fire aimed at civilian centers. Should Israel have responded to the rocket fire with airstrikes? Now remember that most of the rockets were stopped by the Iron Dome defense, or they fell short, while most of the airstrikes have been successful. But they've also killed hundreds of civilians, including children. So at what point could this violence have been avoided? Who should have shown restraint? Who could have shown restraint to prevent this quarrel from escalating into the conflict it is now? Women, call me on 01465-7190. 01465-7190. Men, call me on 0700-993-993-993. 0700-993-993-993. So women, 01465-7190. Men, 0700-993-993-993. We've got WhatsApp as well. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. 080-959-75805. Hello, thank you very much for calling us. Sorry about that. Call back if you can. Hello.
Yeah, President Sandra, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
Chris is my name.
Welcome, Chris.
So these people there, these how many groups you mentioned, they don't have leaders. Hello, President Sandra.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Before Trump leave office, I thought Trump broke out the peace with them the other time, right?
Okay, keep going.
How come this one and these police people who can chase these people away from? This is their holy whatever they are deep, and you is it this time you want to occupy that place? So I watched that thing. I see children, see women, see properties being destroyed. Please, they call you say Holy Land. I hear you mention Holy Land, Holy Land. The leaders should bring their heads together and stop this killing, please. Thank you, President Sandra.
Thank you very much for calling. 99.3, hello. Sorry about that. Call back if you can. Hello, thanks for calling us.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
Yeah, this is Simola.
You need to turn your radio off. Then go ahead.
Yeah, it's turned off now.
All right, go ahead. I can't hear you anymore. Your voice is very far away from your phone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, very clear now.
Yeah, we need to go back to memory lane about that issue of Palestinian Israel. And like you said, 1947 was when British left that area, being a colonized area before that. And at that time, there was an order that they should leave, the soldiers should leave. I mean, the British soldiers should leave there and drop their weapons. And there is a film about that that was done by British journalists. I think it's called The Promised. They left their weapons, and you will recall that as at that time there was these Nazis, the German Nazis, who were really killing the Jewish people. So by that time there was this, how will I call it again, the instruction for the British soldiers to leave and drop their weapons, and that was synonymous to the release and the freedom of the Jewish from the Germans. So by the Jewish coming to that colonized area, former British colonized area, they got there picking up these weapons. In fact, if you watch that film I just mentioned, The Promise, it showed a lot of things that happened behind the scene and what is currently going on now. So in short, government over the time, the U.S. government, they come in, try to settle. You remember Obama trying to create a two-state solution. Then Donald Trump came in, broke the two-state solution, never agreed to it, brought Jerusalem, gave U.S. Jerusalem to, U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, brought another uprise in the tension there, and a lot of things have happened over time. But the truth of the matter is that if we are looking at this thing, we have to look at what German did to the Jewish and what the Jewish are doing to the Arabs there now. We have to link it, and it has to be the same. We have to call a spade a spade. They've continued to kill these people over the years. If you remember 2008, 2009, it was so bloody that the international community could not do anything. The likes of Egypt, the likes of Lebanon, they keep praying, they keep going there, giving them food from tunnels. They block everywhere to the Palestinians. They suffered, and in fact, the Hamas are just like, how would I call them? People tag them to be terrorists. They are really not terrorists. They are just the last hope of the Palestinians in terms of defense. Hello? I'm here. I'm listening. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Hamas are just the last resort in terms of defense. They have. In fact, Palestinians at some point do not have defense. They do not have anything. And what the international community is doing is really not fair, because at this stage, this is 2021, this is a global war. This is where some states are calling for secession. This is where countries like Spain and Catalonia, they are calling for secession. This is where South Sudan, and there's a new South Sudan. So we should not be looking at this thing like the international community needs to come in and broker the peace. Not just broker the peace, they need to come in and settle. Let everybody know that, guys, you have to cohabit like neighboring countries. You have to come in as Israel, stay in Israel. You have to be a Palestinian, be a Palestine, and draw the borders for them. Let Palestinians have their own rights to self-defense. Every nation, every sovereignty have self-defense. No sovereignty today in the world except Palestine. In fact, you also look at Google at some point. Google tried to take away Palestine as a country from their map. If you go to Google Map, you will not see Palestine as I speak to you. Those are the conspiracies. Those are the things that are causing uprising in all these parts. And you also look, how can a small Israel have that mighty military awareness? How can a small Israel, the like of Mossad is everywhere, all over the world.
Well, the reason they have military might is because they are really small and they're surrounded by all of these Arabian countries. And if they don't have the amount of military that they do, the military power that they do, they could be snuffed out by their neighboring Arab countries.
No. That should not be the case, because really, from time being, from scriptures and every other thing, you see that the Jewish people are the Jewish people, the Arab people are the Arab people, and they have lived together. They've lived together for longer periods. They have been together. It is because of this self-determination, this how will I call it? There are a lot of things that is happening behind the scenes. You see that Saudi Arabia has kept mum about this thing for over decades, and that is to make you know. In fact, Netanyahu met this Arab Gulf president and head of state. They are in consonance. They are in awareness together. The thing is,
but let me bring you back to this particular crisis. We're going to talk about all of that history with the second story, but on this particular crisis, this current situation, at what points could violence have been avoided? Who and who should have shown restraints to prevent this thing from escalating?
Yeah, exactly. The moment they wanted to celebrate the 1967 Yom Kippur War, it's when everything began. The Hamas and the Palestinian people find it offensive for you to say you want to partition some part of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and you pass through it in celebrating what was deadly as at 1967. In fact, the 1967 Yom Kippur War brought about oil boom in 1960 because the Arab Gulf could not sell their crude oil. So there are a lot of it was irritating for let's say Ghana when we did. Ghana must go back in 1980, and we came back and we are now going to Ghana. It is offensive for Ghanaians now, and they are seeing us like that. You chased us away from Nigeria, so get back to your country. That is the same thing that happened that day. You said 1967, Yom Kippur War. We want to celebrate the victory. What is about to celebrate? When we go for this kind of look at Biafra, Nigeria, it is no victor, no vanquish. That is how it ought to be. They needed not to do that at that day.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for calling. I know that if I leave him, he'll keep going. So, so let's give a chance to other people to call into the show. Women, call me on 01465 7190. Hello, thank you for calling. Men, call me on 0700 993 993 993. Hello.
Hello, Sandra.
Thank you for calling. What's your name?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The truth remains.
What's your name?
I've Choma from Abulegba.
Choma, welcome.
Yes, I've listened to the analysis of the last caller.
Okay.
Sincerely speaking, and he was blaming international body. They don't want to do anything, except maybe he's a Muslim. But for every Christian, practicing Christian, who believe the word of God, go back to the scripture. This war is in the scripture. There is nobody in this our dispensation that will settle Israel and Palestine. No. Their war could not be settled because it has a spiritual undertone. Hello?
Okay.
Are you listening to me?
I am.
Yes. It has a spiritual... This war came out from the mouth of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Oh, God.
And it's like a way that he placed a curse. I can't pick the scripture now. I would have used the scripture to analyze what is going on. But be it as it may, I want us as Nigerians to drop the clue for what is happening in Israel today with the Palestinians. At least our own. They're supposed to be a place of dialogue. They're supposed to be a place of, let's come together. Let's borrow that clue. We don't want to shed more blood. We don't want people to die. All the agitating parties, let's come together and find solutions to our problem before it is too late. Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, Choma, for calling. Interesting take. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? What's your name?
Am I the one speaking?
Yes, you are. What's your name? Hello.
Okay. Hello. My name is Yvette.
Hi, Yvette.
Based on what you said, I feel that it was very insensitive of Israel during the Palestinians' Ramadan. I'm not Ramadan, sorry, the
Muslim Ramadan.
Yes, the end of Ramadan, to come to have a match. I mean, in this world, everybody has to try and accommodate someone else. That's one of their holiest days. Why is it that day that Israel decided to come and do a match? It's that insensitivity. I'm a Christian. I'm sorry, with due respect, the last call, I don't know what she was saying about biblical. Wrong is wrong. We know what Israel, they're relevant in the Bible and all that. But you have to have, Israel displays a lot of high-handedness when it comes to the lives of other people, except its own people. And Netanyahu is bloodthirsty. And Israel should stop this kind of action because the whole world is watching. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Thank you, Yvette, for calling and contributing. We appreciate it. Women, call me on 014657190. Men, call me on 0700-993-993-993. We're going to take a break in about 1 minute, 30 seconds. And then after that break, I'm going to take some time, 10 minutes, to compress 3,000 years of history into about 10 minutes, right? So wish me good luck with that. But that's what we'll do for the second story. So it provides for you better context of this Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and you can see where it started, you can see where it could go, and perhaps we could talk about what needs to happen so that it ends once and for all. Now let me go to WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. We've got Morgan from Ikorodu, who says, based on the history of Zionism and PLO, it is difficult to have peace between them. Each is fighting for territorial dominance, and it is hard to have a winner or a loser. Hello, Sandra. Israel is a complex country. There are native Arab Muslims, Arab Christians, Jews, all supposedly indigent. The truth is, I don't see any immediate solution to the lingering crisis. All right, Lagos, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
The people. How far? See, if any kind person say you want the coded password for your bank app, I be your PIN, your card PIN, I be the theory number with the back of your card, your pay ID, I be the answer for your security question. I beg no give them all this information. Them suppose they coded. You no suppose share them with anybody. Make you wise up. No make them scam you. This message now from Kuda Microfinance Bank, the bank of the free. Make you download Kuda for your Play Store or for App Store to open account. Make you start to enjoy your banking.
If you're like me, that has to deal with heavy downloads and a need to be connected, then you need a 9 mobile MiFi or router. At the office, at home, and on the go, never worry about a steady connection. Buy any of our MiFi or router data bundles for as low as 16,000 naira and get a free 4G MiFi or router. Just visit any 9 Mobile Experience Center or authorized 9 Mobile dealer outlets to get yours. Terms and conditions apply.
9 Mobile. Are you looking for the perfect escape from the frenzy of everyday life? Lekki Leisure provides an astonishing view of the Atlantic Ocean with premium beach services, children's play area, private cabanas, quad bikes, beach soccer, volleyball, and much more. We are the right fun place for you. Our unique event spaces have impressive views of the ocean and city and are suited ideally for all your event purposes. Try our special Sunday buffet for amazing sizzling hot Chinese delicacies. Thursday night karaoke with complimentary drinks for the ladies. Make these unforgettable memories at our premium private beach located at Adekunle Animashaun Drive, Okunde Water Tourism Scheme, Lekki, Lagos. For more information, please call 0817-194-7130 or send an email to l3hubinfo@gmail.com. Lekki Leisure. Live more. We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
On Fridays, we let Nigerian stories rest and we take a look at the biggest stories from other parts of the world. And our second story is still the Israel-Palestinian conflict. But now I want us to look at the root causes of the conflict, right? Let's look at the history and maybe think about what a peaceful settlement could look like. Can we do that? You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. It's currently 3:30 and I'm going to try and compress 3,000 years of history into 10 minutes. Wish me luck. Now, this conflict at its root is about land. Both Jewish Israelis and Arab Palestinians claim the same land as their ancestral home. Now, of course, the Jews were there as far back as Bible times. But a bit more than 2,000 years ago, most Jews were expelled from Palestine by empires like the Babylonians, Romans, Byzantines. Then in the 600s and in the 600s, yeah, that's about 1,400 years ago, the Arabs arrived. They came with the Muslim conquest of Palestine and they stayed and they grew. A minority Jewish population remained and they lived in peace with the Arabs. But the Arabs remained the overwhelming majority for a millennium and a half, mostly under Turkish rule. Then in the late 1800s, European Jews started coming to Palestine. They bought land from Arabs in the countryside. They were still a minority, but they were growing. Now, during World War I, Britain overthrew Turkey in the Middle East, and they promised the land to both the Jews and the Arabs. Just imagine. Imagine that. But instead, the British kept control for 30 years. In that time, the Jewish population kept growing, and the Arabs got more and more scared that the Jews were going to take over the entire land. Then violence started. So by the time the British were leaving, it was clear to the whole world that the two groups needed separate countries. And of course, this was the end of World War II, and more Jews were arriving after the Holocaust. The world agreed that the Jews needed their own homeland, and it should be Palestine. But what about the Arabs? They and their ancestors have lived there for 1,400 years. So the UN proposed dividing up the country into 3 states, the so-called partition agreement. An Arab-Palestinian state, a Jewish state, and Jerusalem as a neutral city, because both sides refused to let go of Jerusalem for religious reasons. But the Arabs rejected the partition agreement. Why? Because it gave most of the land to the Jewish side, so they went to war. And even though the other Arab countries like Jordan and Egypt joined them, the Jews won the war, seized most of the land, and declared the State of Israel. The Arabs could only keep the West Bank under Jordan and the Gaza Strip under Egypt. This happened in 1948. At that time, over 700,000 Palestinians fled the country, became refugees in the Middle East. Also, tens of thousands of Israelis left the Arab world and resettled in Israel. Then in 1967, we've talked about this in the first story, the 6-day war broke out. Israel won again, seized Gaza, seized the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, and Sinai from Egypt, and Golan from Syria. Since then, Palestinians have been living under occupation in Gaza and the West Bank. That was also when groups like the PLO took up terrorism. Now, since the 1980s, the world has been trying to negotiate peace between both sides, but there are 4 obstacles. The first is territory. Both sides cannot agree on who should get what land when they divide the country into 2. Palestinians want Israel to pull back into the 1967 borders, but Israel wants to keep parts of the West Bank and Gaza. That's why Israel has built settlements there. Now, the Geneva Convention says if country A occupies land from country B, they are not allowed to bring their civilians to live there. That's why whenever Israel builds a new settlement, there's an uproar from everybody, except America. So that's problem one. Problem two, Jerusalem. Both sides claim that Jerusalem is their capital. And both of them specifically want East Jerusalem because that's where the Temple Mount is. Nobody has come up with a way to satisfy both sides on this. So that's problem two. Problem three, the right of return. Remember that during the wars, almost 1 million Palestinians had to leave the land. 70 years later, those refugees have grown to almost 4 million, living in camps across the Middle East. Palestine wants them all to come home. Israel says they can only settle in Gaza and the West Bank. Israel doesn't want them in the Israeli areas because that would make the Arabs a majority in those Israeli areas. So that's the third problem. Then the fourth obstacle is security. In fact, security is the reason that Israel says it cannot give up the settlements. Israel believes it needs to keep some control over Palestinian territories to make sure that it doesn't get attacked. So you see, 4 obstacles standing in the way of peace between both sides. 4 problems keeping the Israeli-Palestinian conflict alive. Anybody who can solve all 4 is guaranteed a Nobel Peace Prize. And I wonder if you're that person. Are you that person? What do you think a fair solution would be? Who do you think needs to compromise for peace? Or let me say compromise more. Who do you think needs to compromise more for peace? What compromise should they make? What compromises should they make? Women, call me on 01465-7190. For women, 01465-7190. For men, 0700-993-993-993. So G from Ilorin says, what might work is Israel should stay apart as a separate country with Jews and Christians living in it, whilst another allows a separate country is created for Palestinians. All right, Soji. Well, I just told you the 4 obstacles to that solution, but thank you for trying. More messages are coming in via WhatsApp, but we're going to go to the phone lines first and then keep talking. Now, of course, this is not a religious battle, so please don't come and try and make it a religious battle on my show. I will cut you off. Let's stick to the issues, stick to the history, and keep it there. Don't make it into a thing that it's not. I will cut you. I'm not even playing with you. 99.3, hello? Hello?
Hello?
How are you? What's your name?
Hey, Sandra.
Hey, what's your name?
It's Chinoye.
Chinoye, welcome.
Nasoso Sandra. Nasoso Sandra.
Okay.
Ezekwesili. Oyana Hassan. Hey, Nasoso Hassan. Hey, Nasoso Pange. Nasoso Hassan.
Chinoye, do you want to contribute to the show or you want to say?
I want to contribute. Why won't I contribute?
Oh, yeah, contribute.
That is just talk about another person's history. Just sit down, talk about another person's history. If they ask me, you know, I know they say, now 1960 we do independence. You understand? Only two want to talk with them, make them make peace. I don't want to know what cause for it. Make them make peace. Peace is the key.
Peace is the key, Chinoye says. Thank you very much for calling and thanks for that song. 99.3.
Good afternoon, our Sandra.
Good afternoon. What's your name, sir?
My name is Prince Wires.
Welcome, Prince Wires.
Calling from Amuodo.
All right.
You see, I thank you for going deeper into this matter. And when you see what the problem we are facing today, I can tell you the majority of it caused by United Nations. What is the brain body of the whole world? Did they do what they're supposed to do? But as of now, the Palestinians have to give more for people to reign supreme.
Okay.
They can't compete with Israel. Okay. Look at the latest development. How many Palestinians that are being killed now? More than 70, as you said. Only 7 from Israel. So, by the way, when you talk of weapons, I'm telling you, Israel can destroy those areas. But the justice must be done right now. And who will do the justice? Since 1948, they supposed to have done something tangible. Give Israel their own independence, give Palestine their own independence. Till now, Palestine is still under control of Israel.
Now, that's what everybody is saying, that they should both be given independence. But you see these 4 problems I listed. How do you solve it now?
Now, not tell me how to come in now. And the who are behind the Zionist and how to do the justice, it's America. This system, they are having no war today. It starts from the Asia, from Palestine, where this will see no justice. They start suicide bomber. 1972, I know what happened. Today, look what's going on. All this that's happening in Nigeria today, they learn it from these people.
Do you believe that America is partial?
America, let me tell you, if America says yes to the independence of Palestine today, I'm telling you, United Nations we do something. But America, especially, Democratic and the Republican, when you see Democratic, they only do something good. Where this one was around, that is Bill Clinton. I've forgotten. He made peace then. That the Palestine will be getting independence in 2005. Make arrangements. All the Arafat and the other Israel, they give peace and all. But immediately the other man come on board. That is Bush Jr. They pass everything. They destroy the peace. And that's what I still facing today. If this will get better, America will say, yes, I want to do the right thing. By then, the United Nations will play ball.
All right, Prince YS, thank you very much for calling. 99.3, hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
My name is Halima.
Halima, welcome. By the way, I should tell Prince YS that Israel and Palestine rejected Clinton's last peace deal. But Halima, welcome. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think the first thing that we need to acknowledge is that I feel Israel thinks they have a right to as much land as they want because they feel they've been mistreated all those years by the whole final solution during the Second World War.
Yeah.
And then I know you said it really isn't we shouldn't make it a religious issue, but if you really think about it, most of it is from that. The whole reason they don't want to give up Jerusalem for each other is because they both feel they have a religious claim over Jerusalem, and it's important to both of them in some way. I think the best thing that could be done is for the UN to intervene. But of course, the US is influenced there, and their partiality towards them, it might not be as fair as it would be because the US is always supporting Israel.
So what needs to happen is the UN needs to step in, but the UN cannot step in until the US steps in. Halima?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you for calling, Halima. I think Halima is doing other things while she's talking to me, so I wasn't quite clear when she was done and when she wasn't. All right. Let's talk to somebody else. Hello. Thank you for calling.
Hey, hello.
Hello. What's your name?
My name is Okpayemi.
Welcome, Okpayemi. Go ahead.
This one that you said that we shouldn't make it about a religious issue, but we can remove religion from this thing.
It depends on how. It depends on your treatment of it.
Because from my own perspective, both parties, the Jews and the Palestine, they are all laying claims to the land based on religious affinities. There are religious sentiments. And it's actually, in my own view, because of religion that U.S. is backing the Jews. They don't want to back the Palestinians because they're Arabs and they have affiliates with Islam, and which you really can't control, which is the point for America. America would rather the land be within the rights of someone. It's easier for them to control, and the UN can't step in because the US is paying the piper. Who pays the piper dictates the tune. You know.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening, baby.
In fact, the honest truth is while are plenty for this world, and honestly, I will not go finish until this world ends. Because where do you begin from? The same thing that is happening over there is happening to us in Nigeria. Everybody believes that it's their own ancestor that is correct, that is right, that has the It's just man just needs to learn to live in peace with his neighbor. Because at the end of the day, we all have blood flowing through us, nothing else.
At the end of the day. Thank you very much for calling, Okpeyemi. Because if you think about it, children are dead off of this nonsense. Children are dead off of it. People, civilians are dead off of it. Remember, that's what we talked about on our first story, right? During our first story, I told you that this month, the Israeli Supreme Court was expected to give a court judgment evicting some Palestinian families in the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. And as a result of that, there's been lots of tensions in East Jerusalem with Palestinians protesting and Israeli police cracking down on the protests. And all of that just boiled over last Friday at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Al-Aqsa, which is the third holiest place for Muslims after Mecca and Medina, is where you have this crisis starting at. Now, like I said, we don't know who threw the first stone. We don't know who started the fight. We just know that the worshippers were throwing stones at police, and police was shooting tear gas and rubber bullets at worshippers. Hundreds of civilians injured. Then you fast forward to Monday, Israeli police raided the mosque Al-Aqsa again. And this time they actually moved in to disperse the worshippers because some Israeli groups wanted to march through the neighborhood to celebrate the conquest of East Jerusalem in 1967. So police shot tear gas, rubber bullets, sound bombs into the crowd. And they injured 180 people. And while all of that was happening, and Antonio Guterres was condemning the move, and the whole world was speaking up and saying, oh, this should not be happening. But they were not even really speaking up like that. Hamas then strikes. Hamas runs the government in Gaza, one of the Palestinian-controlled areas. They demanded that Israel should withdraw its forces from Al-Aqsa and East Jerusalem, and they started launching hundreds of rockets at Israeli cities. Israel deployed the Iron Dome defense system to stop the rockets, also launched airstrikes against Hamas buildings in Gaza. But on the ground, you have violence rippling to other parts as well. You have other ethnic groups clashing, destroying each other's property, attacking each other. That's the current situation. So at what point should somebody have said, okay, let's not escalate, let's pull back? How do they get past these 4 obstacles I mentioned when we're talking about the second story? Territory, Jerusalem, the right of return, security. How do they get past those 4? What's a fair solution so that these 2 countries, these 2 people can find lasting peace? While you're thinking about that, let's talk about our final story on today's Big 3. The U.S. economy is opening back up, but many companies are having problems finding new staff to hire. You want to hear this one? Trust me. You want to hear this one. So lockdowns are ending in America. People are getting vaccinated. That means lots of businesses have been shut for months, right? Or they've been operating at reduced capacity and they're coming alive again, right? Or at least they're trying to come alive again. But people are not coming to take the jobs. Restaurants are complaining that they are having to stay shut because of no applicants. You can see some of the signs that these restaurants are putting in their windows explaining that, sorry, we can't open because we don't have any staff yet. There are lots of viral pictures on social media. And why is this happening? Lots of reasons. First, unemployment insurance, or UI. The Biden administration is paying unemployed Americans $1,200 a month because of COVID. That payment has been renewed until September. That's $300 per week, tax-free. Meanwhile, the minimum wage for a 40-hour worker is $290 a month. So for the lowest wage earners, it makes more sense to stay home than to return to work. And even people who were making a bit more than minimum wage before the pandemic, they can now stay home and run a side hustle. Another reason is childcare. Businesses have reopened, but most schools have not reopened. And so parents are not able to go back to work because they won't have anybody to take care of their children during the day. Remember, most American families cannot afford nannies. It's not like here in Nigeria where you have child slaves in your house. Or you have slaves that are working for you and you're not really paying salary. But I'm not judging you, Sha. I'm just saying. So nannies are very expensive. And lots of American families cannot afford it. And then you now have the fear of COVID. That's also another reason. Lots of people still are not vaccinated. A lot of them are worried about catching COVID at work. So that's a direct effect of all the conspiracy theories about the vaccines. Suddenly people cannot work because they've not gotten the vaccines and they're afraid they will catch COVID. Now, like I said, this problem is hitting restaurants harder than other businesses. And that's because restaurants generally pay lower wages than anybody. In fact, government lets American restaurants pay below minimum wage because they expect that waiters can get tips. But now, for the next few months at least, this may change. Analysts are advising restaurants to raise wages if they want to get back to business. I wonder if you've been paying attention to that particular problem. What do you think about that problem? This problem that U.S. companies are having getting people back to work? 0700-993-993-993. That number's for men. 01465-7190. That's the number that women can call us on. 01465-7190 for women. For men, 0700-993-993-993. You can also send your thoughts to us via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Hello. Thanks for calling us.
Hello.
How are you? What's your name?
Thank you. My name is Joseph, and I'm calling from VI.
Yes, welcome. Go ahead.
I want to align myself with what Prince YS said. He said that the Palestinians should give more. So my suggestion is that I think they should leave Jerusalem and East Jerusalem to Israel. They can lay claim to Gaza Strip, and I believe Israel will come to compromise and there will be peace. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We've got more calls. Hello. Thank you for calling.
Hello, Sandra.
How are you, sir? What's your name?
Good afternoon.
Good
Am I
afternoon.
speaking with Sandra?
Yes, you are. What's your name?
Yeah, I'm Engineer Christian Ogazelu. I'm calling from Ejibo.
Welcome.
You see, on this Israel-Palestine issue, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, uh-huh.
The solution shouldn't be military, because there's no how Palestinians can match Israelis militarily. Israel has the best efforts in the whole world, in the whole wide world. Israel has the best efforts. My boss I work with recently now, as I'm speaking to you, he's from Haifa, Israel.
Okay.
He's an Israeli from Haifa.
Okay.
He's a reserve in the Israeli army, a reserve captain in the Israeli army.
Okay.
He told me that if not because of what the world will say, that it won't take Israel 24 hours to wipe out the whole entire Palestine. But that shouldn't be I don't think that would be the best of interest for everyone. Because children will die, women will die, everybody will die.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would have loved the Palestinians to do is bilateral issue. Let us negotiate this thing. And America is not helping matters. Do you know why? 70% of the billionaires in America are Israelis.
Well, they're not Israeli, they're Jews.
They are Jews.
They're Jewish.
Let me call them American Jews, Abi. So there is where their interest lies. There is where their interest lies. And there is nothing you will ever in this world do to let Israel let go of those, both Gaza Strip, both Golan Heights, both Gaza Strip and the other ones. This man said that, he told me that a Palestinian rocket killed his dog, and that is mad. That a Palestinian rocket killed his dog, that is very mad. So to me, let them settle it bilaterally, negotiation, not militarily. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much. I should also say that it's not 75% of the billionaires in America that are Jewish. That's just something that goes around on social media, and it sounds like the truth. I should also mention that the UN Security Council was supposed to meet on this issue this week, right? But Joe Biden delayed the meeting. He delayed the meeting until weekend. Diplomats are saying that it's because Biden expects the Security Council to criticize Israel, and he doesn't want that to happen before he can convince Netanyahu to end the attacks. Members of Biden's own party are now criticizing him for allegedly shielding Netanyahu and condoning aggression from Israel while condemning aggression from Hamas. So that's a bit of fact for you to add to your argument, right? It could help you form better opinions about what's happening and how the rest of the world is reacting to what's happening. I listened to a very, very interesting interview between the ambassador of Palestine to the UK on BBC in the UK, and he had very, very, very strong things to say. I wish we had time to play that interview for you, but we don't because we have to take a break. Don't go away.
I feel alive, so alive when I'm with my best friends, indulging my tea exotic.
Over 40 estates in Lagos, very genuine and affordable. Join EUC Homes today and start living the good life. For more inquiries, please call 0817 194 7272. That is 0817 194 7272.
If you're like me that has to deal with heavy downloads and a need to be connected, then you need a 9 mobile MiFi or router. At the office, at home, and on the go. Never worry about a steady connection. Buy any of our MiFi or router data bundles for as low as 16,000 naira and get a free 4G MiFi or router. Just visit any 9 Mobile Experience Center or authorized 9 Mobile dealer outlet to get yours. Terms and conditions apply.
9 Mobile.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
We've got 3 minutes to the end of the show, and I don't know. We're getting lots of messages on WhatsApp. I don't know whether to take them or to play just a minute. What should I do? What do you think I should do? I'm sure everybody's shouting, "Play just a minute! Play just a minute!" Okay, all right. Let's play just a minute, shall we? The number to call, you know it by now: 0700-993-993 993 0700-993 993 993 014657190. I hope you've been listening to the conversation we've been having here on Hard Facts, because you best believe that all the questions will come from everything we've talked about. So if you didn't listen, now you sabi. Hello, thank you for calling. Hello,
this is Amina speaking.
Amina, welcome. Thank you for calling us. So first of all, let me find out what today's high score is. What's today's high score? So while they're telling me that, I don't even think anybody's around to give me today's high score. But here's what we're going to do. You're going to try and answer 5 questions at least. If you answer at least 5, you're in the running for it. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's go.
This is Just a Minute.
How many states recorded new COVID cases yesterday?
3.
That's correct. Which state recorded the highest number of new cases yesterday?
Lagos.
That's correct. What state had the second highest number of COVID cases yesterday?
Akwa Ibom.
That's wrong. What state had the third highest number of COVID cases yesterday?
Akwa Ibom.
That's correct. Muslims believe the Prophet Muhammad tied what at the site of Al-Aqsa Mosque?
Pass.
Which colonial power promised the same land to both Jews and Arabs?
Pass.
What's the name of the Palestinian faction in control of the Gaza Strip?
Pass.
Name 2 of the 4 pieces of territory Israel occupied during the 6-day war.
Pass.
Pass. Okay, so you only answered, let's see, 1, 2, 3 questions correctly. I doubt you're our winner, but please stay on the line so we can try and collect your details. All right, then.
Yes,
thank you very much for calling. Lagos, that's all the time we have. And thank you, everybody who listened to the show today. We'll bring you business news and then bring you Public Square. I'm Ezekwesili on Twitter, Sandra Ezekwesili on Facebook, Ezekwesili on Instagram. And I'll be back on your radio on Monday. So let's do this thing again, shall we? Monday, 3 o'clock. That's when I am back. Those are your hard facts, Lagos. Have a good weekend.
And now, the business news.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.